Again, good evening, man. I want to welcome everybody back to another episode. We got another episode of the Conversation 9-8. So I'm just excited again, as usual, every week. I really am excited about this. This has become a really big part of my life, and I'm just appreciative of the opportunity that we have to just come on and share every week. So again, man, make sure y'all jump on, share this, man. Jump on, let me know where you're tuning in from. Like I said, holla at your boy. Holla at your boy. Let me, make some changes and share this a little bit with a few people. And man, we're gonna get on with this thing. We're gonna get on with this. So again, man, I'm just so excited. Again, just to be on for another episode. Episode 80. 80. That's a lot. That is a lot. So I'm grateful for that. And not only am I grateful, I'm just excited for the continuing on, just continuing on with this, sharing this, and having a great conversation. So one more share and I'll be done. We're gonna get into this thing. We're gonna get into it. So, hey, what's going on, man? I'm excited again. Enjoying this nice, still kind of, some people will consider it cold, but being up here in New York, man, I'm enjoying this warmer weather, even though it's been wet. I'm just excited about continuing to have this conversation that we've been having, and continue to just, the whole purpose of this, and the whole purpose of this is just to come on and share real things that real people deal with, that a lot of times people don't talk about in the open. And I just wanted to talk about certain topics from a different perspective, from a perspective of a believer, but not so much churchy. You see what I'm saying? Just somebody that's lived a while. Ain't been a long time, but it's been enough to get credit. Been enough to get credit. So been around the sun 42 times, and I'm grateful for that. But again, man, let me know where you're tuning in from. We got a lot of things going on. I'm excited tonight because tonight we got some giveaways tonight. We have some giveaways tonight. So later on in the show, we have some giveaways. And tonight, my giveaways is for the ladies. So fellas, I have something for you coming up, but my giveaway tonight is for the ladies, and for the young ladies and the ladies. Young ladies, the ladies, and teachers. And that's the thing. Young ladies, and teachers. So that's what I'll be giving away tonight. And I want to give a shout out to my girl, Iantha Houston. She's doing her thing, man. Very proud of her. Former educator she still is an educator, but she's a consultant right now. She's going around doing her thing. She retired from the classroom, but she has a passion to, first of all, do the work of God, but second of all, empower teachers to teach. And before we even get into the show, I do want to show you guys what I got, right? So with me in my hand, I have her book here, and I'm pulling it up, and everybody can see that. It says Stories That Teach Girls, right? It's a 30-day walk through girls' life lessons with God's word. And this is her first book that she published. And I will be giving this book away for free later on tonight. So this right here is for the young ladies. Young ladies, I'm looking at you can get this to somebody, be a blessing to somebody, a blessing to a young girl. This is a phenomenal book. Got a lot of feedback. This book been out for a long time. And I've actually given it away before, but I said I wanted to support Iantha and get that out there. And you can look her up, Iantha Houston. I'm telling you, her name is on the bottom, but we'll be giving this book away for the young ladies. All right. Then her second book that I have here, right? And I have it right here. Let me hide that one. I have it right here. He wasn't it either. Right. So this book right here is a single woman's memoir of lessons learned. And she is very transparent, very candid in this book. And, just very proud of her. We connected. We first went to the same church in Augusta. She's a class of 1998 high school. So shout out to 9-8. But we connected, and I just want to continue to support her and all she has. This book right here. I mean, you got to go get it. Brian, he said he can identify as a girl. Now that's a good one. But hey, that book right there, I'll tell you, she also has a video that she did with it. Phenomenal work with that. And last but not least, last but not least, right? Her last book that I have here is for the teachers, educators, right? This is her latest book, Classroom, Your Classroom or Their Playground. Your Classroom or Their Playground, all right? And this is a classroom management observations and conversations for the new teachers. So this is aimed at new teachers, for those that's new to the profession, how to handle your classroom and manage your classroom. Because guess what? You guys know I've been an avid supporter of educators, because guess what? I come from a long line of educators, still connected with educators. And this book right here is real good. So I'll be giving away all three of these books towards the end of the show. So with all of that out the way, man, again, shout out to our anthem, man. Very proud of her. And you can go check out if you want to go publish. If you want to go, she has a website. You can publish it. She's on Amazon books. I mean, go on and support. Now, let's get down into the nitty gritty. Let's get down into it. So we did all of that talking, man. And you're like, Shep, okay, man, what you talking about tonight? So episode 80, man, that's a milestone. Episode 80. I mean, when we started off with 1, now we at 80. Also, too, again, before we even talk about that, go and like my Facebook page, The Conversation 98. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Instagram at The Conversation 98. I'm on Twitter, The 98 Conversation. And I'm on YouTube. Go and subscribe to my YouTube channel. YouTube, that's The Conversation 98. I upload all of these videos and even some reels that I make from the videos. So if you're looking for that, please go and support that. Now, all of that out the way. I got it out the way. All right. So what we're going to talk about tonight, episode 80. What we talk about tonight is the importance of learning to free yourself from the apathy and imprisonment of the familiar. I'm going to say it again. I said the importance of learning to free yourself from the apathy and the imprisonment of the familiar. Now, one of the things I wanted to talk about was what do you mean by that, Shep? What do you mean? What do you mean? And I want to start this out first, just giving some basic definitions, right? Basic definition. So apathy, the word apathy means lack of interest, enthusiasm, or concern. The lack of interest, enthusiasm, or concern. So that's what apathy means. And not insulting anybody's intelligence, but I'm going to imprisonment. Imprisonment means the state of being imprisoned or captivated. Now, why is it so important to learning to free yourself from the apathy and the imprisonment of familiar? Why is it important? You say, Shep, why is it important? What are you talking about? All right. One of the things, and this is the first point that I want to make, right? One of the biggest things that a lot of people deal with is they are so afraid and frozen that they're stuck in where they're familiar because they're comfortable with it, even though that level of comfort is not beneficial to them. So they do everything they can to stay in that place because guess what? They are afraid of the unknown. They are afraid of reaching their potential. They are afraid of growing. They are afraid of new things. And I just want to stay where I'm comfortable at. And what they also do is they allow the fears of others because other people may not have the courage or may not have the skill set or may not have the desire to go out and chase what they wanted. They're projected on you. So now you take it on and you just stay where you at. You don't leave where your situation because you're scared. You settle and you're really trapped. You're really in prison. You lose your enthusiasm and you're in a state of being captive because you're afraid to free yourself from the familiar. And we got to learn that we have to free ourselves from that. And freeing yourself from that is not an easy thing. That is not something that I'm suggesting that is light, that you take lightly. That also is not something that I'm suggesting that is very easy, because guess what? First of all, a lot of times for us, and I say this, a lot of times for us, we don't even realize that we are stuck. I'm gonna say again, a lot of times we don't even realize that we're stuck in the apathy or the imprisonment of our familiar. Because everything that we're doing, we just always done it that way. And we've never had examples of doing it better. But we find ourselves perpetually frustrated with the situation, circumstances of our reality. But we're too afraid to even do anything about it. So we settle for the frustration, all because we don't know how to free ourselves. Or if we talk about freeing ourselves, it's so unknown to us, and we don't want to feel vulnerable by going to somebody else and seeking help. So I just keep my mouth closed and just try to work it out. And we find ourselves stuck in the same place next year, in the same place 2 years from now, in the same place 5 years from now, still perpetually frustrated, but we still haven't done anything to change it. All because we are afraid to come out of our comfort zone of the familiar. We're afraid to come out, and we have to come out. And what I mean by coming out is not saying that everything is going to change in one day. That's not what I'm talking about. That's not what I'm talking about. And I'm talking about things on a deeper level, because guess what? A lot of times this thing is so on so many different levels, And I tell you this, this is one thing that I know, growing up in a small town, I've witnessed a lot of people that are afraid to leave home because home is what's comfortable for them. So being home, it may not be the same opportunities as other places. And I'm not advocating for you just to leave home, but I'm talking about those who are afraid to leave home because home is what you're familiar with. And they get into different environments where it is opportunity for expansion, but they feel overwhelmed because it's unfamiliar to them. But even though it's better opportunities, but they will settle with going back home and staying with that familiar, and then complain the rest of their lives about, I could have did this, I could have did that, I should have did this, I should have did that. But all while they was afraid to continue to be in those new places, to continue to learn new things, to continue to be exposed so that they can expand and take advantage of those new opportunities. And that's not in small towns. It's people in big cities like that. And I'm so grateful being in the military. I met people from New York City that really haven't even been outside the city, but in their mind, they feel like just because they're in a city with millions of people, that they have a good that they are not in prison in their mindset. And then this is how you know they're in prison in their mindset. It's hard for them to adapt when they go to new places. It's hard for them because they compare everything to what they are familiar with. And what I've learned in my life is a lot of things that I was familiar with, that I was comfortable with, that I'm grateful for the exposure that my parents and my grandparents gave me, because what that showed me, even growing up, that the world was bigger than the Black Belt in Alabama. The world was bigger than Uniontown, Alabama. The world was bigger than Fonsdale, Alabama. The world was bigger than Greensboro, Alabama. The world was bigger than Demopolis. The world was bigger than Tuscaloosa. The world was bigger than Birmingham. The world was bigger than Selma, Marion, and all of those places. It was bigger than that. And it's not saying that all the time that the people were better. What it did was it gave me a mindset that, dang, the world is bigger. So then I joined the military. And when I joined the military and I began to be able to travel and see different things, and I lived in Texas, I lived in Virginia, I lived in New York, I lived in Germany, I lived in Korea. I've been deployed for 31 months, been in Iraq, been in Qatar, been in Kuwait, been in the AUE, been in all these different countries, Qatar. And you see it, I've been in all these different places. And what I say is, the world is bigger. So in my mind, it created a mindset with me, is that, you know what? I'm okay with being uncomfortable for a while, because that temporary state of uncomfort will elevate me out of the permanent state of the frustration and the irritation of being unfamiliar. All because I was exposed. And because of that exposure, what it did was it elevated me. I'm not saying that I'm better, but one thing I would not do is, I'm not going to live a life of frustration. I refuse to live a life of frustration. I refuse to live a life of less than. I refuse to live a life and not reaching my full potential, all because I'm afraid of what I don't know. And especially now, when we have so much information, so much more access to information that's out there. So much more. And it's so much more to the point to where there ain't no excuses. It is not like what it used to be. Definitely not like what it used to be. Definitely. But one of the real sad things that we see is you have people who will choose to stay in the imprisonment. They will take up refuge in the imprisonment. And I talked about this before, about the man at the pool of Bethesda in the Bible, that he was at that place for 38 years looking for somebody else. And they will stay in that place of imprisonment of the familiar, because in their mind, they're expecting somebody else to do something that they can do for themselves. Like they can go back to school. They can not only go back to school, they can start that business. They can do that thing that they wanted to do. They can accomplish whatever they wanted to accomplish. They can do that, but they got to get up off their butt and they got to go and get it. And it's going to be some unfamiliar. It's going to be some times where you're going to start some stuff and you may not be good at it. But guess what? Now you're getting your reps in. Now you're growing. Now you are growing every day. And now if you stay with it and you stay consistent and you remain vigilant with it, over time, you'll realize you're not where you was before. You're not where you was before. And one of the powerful things, this thing is one of the most powerful things that I've heard from a former commander of mine. And it wasn't even a long conversation at all. It was maybe a 15-second conversation. I was in Korea in 2002, and we had the KC-390 challenge. So KC-390 is a hill in Korea. It's really a mountain. They call it a hill, but it's a mountain. And it's like 3 miles up that you got to march up. And I remember walking up, and we did ruck with a rucksack on our back, and we walking up. And I can remember a battalion commander coming by, and she said, "One step at a time. You don't get to 1,000 miles until you make the first step." And I can just remember that, and it just resonated with me, and it motivated me. I still was tired, but it motivated me to keep going. And because a lot of times this is it, right? And I'm going to say this. This is going to blow a lot of people's mind. This is going to blow a lot of people's mind. Watch this, right? The reason why so many people remain in the imprisonment, the apathy and the imprisonment of the familiar, is because they're trying to figure out how to finish, what the journey is to the finish point before they even start. And that's not what we're required to do. And I'm speaking from a Christian perspective or a faith perspective, right? Right? Speaking from a faith perspective, if I hear God say go, and I look through the Bible, everything God gave instructions to people, he didn't tell them everything through. So if I just start and I just focus on the first step and then the second step, I'm not focused on the finish line. I'm prioritizing the journey. And if I prioritize the journey, guess what that do? That will empower me to focus on the moment, not waste my time being in anxiety and being overwhelmed about something I don't even have no control over. So what I do is I dominate what I can control, and what I can control is right now. I can't control tomorrow. I can't control the future, but I can control right now, and that's what I choose to do. And a lot of people find themselves so stuck because they're trying to figure everything out before they move. And they find themselves stuck there for years. And it's nobody's fault but yours. It's nobody else's fault but yours. It's not your baby mama. It's not your baby daddy. It's not your mama. It's not your daddy. It's not your sibling. It's not the system. It's not this, that, and the third. You are where you are because you have accepted something that it wasn't in your destiny to accept, but you're frustrated, but you don't want to put the work in to move forward. And you just have to make your mind up to say, you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm going to make a daily decision to do this. I'm going to make a daily decision to move on. And that's the best thing that you can do for yourself. It is. It is. Now, it is. It is. Brian said this. He said, you got to embrace the suck. You do. You do. And accepting stagnation. So watch this. So when we talk about settling, right? When we talk about settling, if I'm traveling and I know I'm going to be somewhere temporarily, what I would do is I travel with enough items, necessities to sustain me for that travel. But if I'm dwelling in a place, that means that I got to move everything. And a lot of us, we choose to dwell in stagnation. We choose to dwell in the stagnation of our stagnation of the familiar, because we are so afraid of what may not happen. Even though we frustrated with what is not happening, even though we're tired with what is not happening, we're still overwhelming ourselves with what may happen and settle for what we know will happen, even though what is happening is not aligned with our destiny. It's not aligned with the peace that we seek. It's not aligned with our purpose in our lives. And we frustrated and we take it out on those that are close to us as if they're the problem. But the problem really lies with you. The problem lies with you. It do. Sorry. The problem lies with you. It ain't nobody else's fault. And get into that space, right? Get into that space. And this is what I mean by that, right? A lot of people, and I'm saying a lot of people, and this is not talking at somebody, I'm just talking in general from my observations, right? I've seen a lot of people who desire, they may grow up in an environment where it was chaotic, and that environment was chaotic, unstructured, and it forced a lot of people to not enjoy their childhood, and a lot of people had to take on adult responsibility as a child. So in that environment, they are frustrated, mentally frustrated, and they want structure. They want that structure. So a lot of times they join the military. I've seen it a lot in the military as an AIT commander, a commander for advanced individual training. Soldiers come in, they seeking that structure from basic training. They seeking all this. And then when they get it, they're overwhelmed by it because it challenges their comfort zone of where they came from. Even though they hated the reality of where they came from, they fight against the stability of the structure that they desired, all because it was unfamiliar to them. All because. And I see so many people, so many just give up. Oh, I can't do this army thing no more. I'm going back home. I want to get out. This ain't for me. Why it's not for you? Oh, I know the army ain't for me. Dude, you 17, 18 years old. You only been doing it for 3 months. You don't even know about the long game. What you going back home to? Oh, I'm going to go to school. Well, why don't you stay in and go to school? You can go to school now. Just do your 4 years, and then that will benefit you the rest of your life. But because they want to go back home to the familiar, then they go back home, and then now they sitting on the block talking about all this story about what ain't nobody going to make them do and all this, that, and the third. And then they find themselves 10, 15, 20 years still back on the same block, blaming everybody else for their situation. And the reality is it was because they were too afraid to break through their unfamiliar. And they went back to the comfort of their familiar, even though their comfort was a prison. Even though that comfort was a prison. And I would tell you guys, man, this thing right here is something crazy, man. It is crazy. It is crazy. And this is something that I personally have been intimately involved with and seeing, about learning to free yourself. When you learn to free yourself, a lot of these things, and I got to say this. I have to say this. And being very honest. When you learn to free yourself, a lot of the hardship from freeing yourself is tied to generational curses that may have been passed on by your family. And you're trying to get out of that, but the weight of that is so heavy where you feel overwhelmed and you feel like, well, that's just what I got to do just to do this. And you feel tied to those generational curses based off of other people's decision to stay. And it can feel overwhelming, and you can feel as if that you can't do it on your own. In actuality, with that, a lot you can't. That's why I take the supernatural of God to pray and to let some things go and allow God to give you the strength. But you take one step at a time. And the problem a lot of people get stuck is because they get stuck in trying to figure everything out before they're going to do something. When God is just saying, take that first step. I got you. Take that first step. I got you. Take that next step. Take that next step. Take that next step. And then you look back a year later and you're in a better place mentally because God is freeing you from that bondage. And a lot of people struggle with that. They struggle with that. They go back to that familiar. A lot of people go to the familiar of their, man, this thing right here is gonna be powerful. Thank you. It just hit me. A lot of people a lot of people go back to the familiar of abuse because they was abused or they was neglected when they grew up. So now, because they refused to deal with it and address it, right? They became what they hated, all simply because they refused to go get counseling. They refused to talk about it. They refused to address it. They refused to deal with it. They refused to. So they became what they hated. They became that dad that was abusive to them, even though they told themselves they wasn't. They became that husband that was neglectful to their family. They became that mom that was absent. They became that mom that prioritized her boyfriend over the kids, all because they refused to deal with it. They refused to address those issues. And they go back to what they're familiar with and they blame the other person. But really, the reality of it is their decision to heal and move on is really their choice. Yes, it happened to you, but it's your choice to choose to heal. And you can do it. You can do it. You can do it. You can do it. There's no ifs, ands, buts about it. None whatsoever. And speaking of that, I thought about this before I came on. In the context of love, when we're talking about love, right? Love can get angry. Love can get frustrated. Love can get irritated. Love, they say, love is patient. Love is kind. Love is long suffering. It keeps no record of wrong. And we understand that. But being human, love can also get tired of somebody else wasting their time. Love can do that. But one thing love don't do. Love never neglects. It never neglects. It never neglects. So if there's any neglect that is associated with it, no matter what excuse, you have to check the fact of, do you love? And you have to get to the point where, okay, if you are the one neglected, you got to deal with why you're doing it and stop blaming other folks and take ownership of it. Because I will tell you that so many people are damaged from neglect than anything else. And it takes them so much longer to get over. Brian said this. He said, like we used to say, just keep knocking down the 50-yard targets until you get a good head, good bead on the longer targets. Yes. Get a good bead on the longer targets. And you focus on what's right in front of you. There's nothing wrong with getting to that place. But a lot of times we got so much in front of us where we're trying to sprint and overlook the barriers in front of us instead of focusing on what's in front of us and trying to focus 100 yards down the road. Focus on right here. Focus on what you can control. It's so many people, and I see it all the time in my job. So many people get overwhelmed because they're prioritizing somebody else's job that's not their job. And they take it on as if it is theirs. And they get frustrated, they get overwhelmed, and they get tired. And I kind of sit back and entertain myself because I developed the mindset, and this ain't a funny thing, but I developed the mindset is that's their job. I can help. I'll definitely help, definitely be the best team player. But other people get paid to do a job too. So why am I being frustrated about something that is not my responsibility? And a lot of times we're overwhelmed in our familiar is because we worried about stuff instead of worry about other things outside of our control instead of focusing on the things we can control. So like this is the importance of learning to free yourself, right? And I said it's important to learning to free yourself from the apathy and the imprisonment of the familiar, right? You will find yourself 10 years later, down the road, still talking about what you're going to do, all because you was afraid to take the first step. And the information was right in front of you. It was right in front of you. And just being honest, I've been talking about writing a book for years, and I still haven't written a book, right? You know why? Because I was too afraid and too undisciplined to sit down and do what I said I wanted to do. That's on me. I can't blame nobody else. I can try to say, well, I'm in the military, and in that time I've been deploying, and I got kids, I got a family, I just ain't making time. But in that same time, I recorded 2 albums. I've done 8 Army theme songs. Recorded 8 Army theme songs, released 3 other singles. I've done that. So that's just I made time for what was important to me. And a lot of times we are familiar because it's not really important to us because we got so comfortable. We gotten comfortable with it. Some people, listen, I said on one of my songs on my latest album, it was like, I'm free from being broke because my mindset had to change, right? I had to go in and deal with me and how I viewed money. I had to go and deal with that. I had to go and study up on some things. I had to go and change some behaviors. I had to go and connect with people that had know-how that I didn't know and learn from them and watch them. I had to put that work in. So I said, you know what? I'm not going to stay in the comfort zone of my familiar and still be in the same place next year. I'm going to do something different. I'm going to do something different. And that's just all what I'm talking about with this. We can do something. We have the power to do something. We have the power to do it. It is in our choice and what choice we choose, what we choose to do something. Listen, things ain't going to always be easy. Things ain't going to always be easy. But you can fix that marriage. You can fix a lot of stuff. But it's really up to the person. And watch this. And it is up to the individual if they're going to be genuinely putting forth the effort. If people are not going to genuinely put forth the effort, don't waste your time and energy on folks who you already know that they repeatedly showed you that they ain't going to change for the better. Now, you just take that as it is. And I'm saying that because guess what? It don't take that much to appreciate. It don't take that much to have gratitude. It don't take that much. It doesn't matter how much you're irritated about whatever. It does not matter. You can just sit back. A lot of people, we irritated because we selfish and we want things how we want them instead of looking at it from a different perspective. And if we look at things from a different perspective, a lot of times we'll realize it ain't that serious. It's not. A lot of times we realize we're the ones that prioritizing things in the wrong place, and we expect other people to adjust to it and compensate for it. And if they are doing that and they always do that, it's easy to take that for granted. For example, it's easy. And yeah, Leslie said it. It's hard to have hate. It's so easy to love. That is so true. But watch this. Watch this. It is hard to have hate, but it's so easy to love. But the enemy convinced us that it's easy to have hate, but we don't realize how much we're spending. And if we really had a bill for how much it costs us to hate something and put forth effort to maintaining that, compared to how much we get, how much it costs us to hate something versus how much we receive from loving somebody else, I will tell you, you'll realize, man, I'm not finna keep spending that money on that. That's stupid. Hate is a liability. Love is an asset. I'll say that again. Hate is a liability. Love is an asset. And that is so true. So if we look at that from that perspective, we will start to realize that, wait, yeah, I can get upset. I can get angry, but I don't have to allow that to manifest into hate. I don't have to allow that to manifest in me being petty and wasting my time and energy about things because I choose to love. And love, sometimes love is saying, I'm going to forego. Sometimes love is saying, I'll address it later, but I am going to address it. Sometimes love is saying, you know what, you do you, boo. I'm going to do me and I'm going to move on. That's what it is, because sometimes you have to prioritize what love you're going to give to somebody else. And listen, all people are deserving of love, but all people aren't deserving of certain levels of access of love that God has placed in you for them. Those people that are deserving those access of love, they should be appreciative of it. Brandon said this. That includes family or co-workers. It doesn't take long to see that someone is not going to compromise or try to communicate or come out of their comfort zone. That is so true. That is so true. And watch this. Watch this. Boy, I'll say it. Brandon, I'll say this big time, right? I've learned to love people in their comfort zone. I learned to love you where you at. I can love you where you at. Only thing to do is take me one time to go to you. And I can see where you at. I can see what level you're on. And I can see that you're comfortable there and you ain't trying to change. Guess what? I'm not going to sit there and try to waste some time and energy to try to convince you that, hey, where you at is not at a good level. You know, and one conversation I talked to my son today, I talked to him and I told him, I said, Robert, because he was talking about some stuff at work. And I told him, I shared with him, I said, Robert, the reality is most of the people you meet in life, they're going to be average to below average at best. And that's what they're comfortable with. And if you've been around high achievers or people that, they want more, you can't expect them to adapt that same mindset. But you see them for what they are, and you treat them for what they are. You can still love them, but just don't expect more, so you are not getting yourself frustrated and irritated for their apathy and their imprisonment of their familiar. That's the conversation that I had with him today. And it's not about a right or wrong thing, but I would tell you, for those people that you see achieve great things, do you see those people that you find balance? You see those people that seem to be successful. And I'm not talking about money. There's a lot of people with money, with positions and all this stuff that are miserable. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about people that have balance, people that are genuine, people that when you meet them, you can feel the aura that they have just because of who they are. Those people tend to bust through their familiar. They break through, because as you grow, just like a caterpillar, or just like a crab, or just like a snake, just like so many other animals, as they get bigger, they have to shed out of their skin or their exoskeleton. They have to shed that to make room for their growth. And a lot of times we got to shed some things. We got to shed some people. We got to shed some relationships. We got to sacrifice some things. There's some things that we have to do just in order for us to grow, to elevate. Now, some people, they don't want to grow and elevate because they're afraid of the period in which, when you, as a crab, the crab is vulnerable when it first sheds its shell. It is more vulnerable to predators. But because it's soft, but as it's hard, they get the protection back. You can't be afraid of that temporary state, because that temporary state would eventually become your permanent state, just so you can do it again. So you got to choose that. You got to say that. You know what? Guess what? Sometimes, man, this thing is good. Sometimes when you elevate, and I'm using that crab again, sometimes when you break out of the shell because you're growing, right? Sometimes you may not be able to be in the same places. You may not be able to be exposed like you was exposed. You may have to go to some places, some covering and some protection, just so you can get your protection back, just so your shell can harden again, so you're not as vulnerable as you were before. But watch this. You're not in the same level of pain that you was before in that old shell, because now you got more room. Now you have more place of a comfort zone than you were before. You're not settling for the imprisonment. You're not settling for being in an apathy. In that shell, what you're doing is you're choosing growth. You're choosing to heal. You're choosing elevation. And that's learning to free yourself, because you got to protect yourself sometime in order to grow. And that's what you just have to do. That's just the reality of what you have to do. And it's not so much of a lot, like we make a lot of things. And I say this sadly, as a church, we made a lot of stuff hocus pocus. Because a lot of the stuff we made hocus pocus has been centered around people building up their own ego. And they made this thing as if faith, they made it more so much of a circus just to feed their own ego instead of talking about the real principles of God. And they make it like, oh, well, if you speak in tongues and if you do this and you do that and you ain't got the faith like me and all this, that's not how God is talking about. That's not what it is. We made it a circus, and guess what? We haven't given people the tangible results. The tangible results is, hey, sometimes you may have to get away from certain people. Look at it. If you look at it, before God elevated Paul, and when God met Saul on the Damascus road, when he changed to Paul, Paul had to go away before he was elevated. Paul had to go away before he was elevated. Think about that. When Joseph was everybody talking about Joseph was a dreamer, but Joseph's purpose was really in administration. So Joseph was sold into slavery to go away to be developed before he was even elevated to the second in charge of Egypt, to prepare him to walk in his purpose, to manage Egypt and create Egypt into a superpower during the time of famine that God knew was coming on. He had to leave before he was prepared. And a lot of us, we don't want to leave. We just want to stay, and we have to leave. Abraham had to leave Ur. He had to leave Ur to be prepared to be the father of all nations. Y'all see all of these things? Moses fled and was in exile for a while before he came back and set up under the leadership of his father-in-law Jethro before he came back, before he was elevated. And a lot of us, we want elevation, but we don't want to be alone. We don't want that sabbatical time. We don't want that time to where we may need to go away, being protected and be groomed and develop more. We'll just stay in our same comfort zone. We'll stay right there where we at, talking about what we could have done instead of what we did with the purpose and the charge that God put on us. He did. I would tell you, this ain't no toot, no horn. This ain't anything. When God allowed me to have everything that I wanted when I went to college. I had my own apartment, car, girls, parties, doing it up, living it up, 19 years old, 18, 19 years old, having the time of my life. God allowed me to get everything that I wanted just for me to realize none of that was what was going to sustain me. And everything fell out. When I say fell out, lost a job, lost the furniture, lost the apartment, ended up going back home somewhere I said I never would do. And when I broke down and I said, Lord, I give my life to you, order my step, I surrender. The next day, a Be All You Can Be, an Army commercial came on 8 straight times. And I got a letter in the mail from a recruiter, and I ended up going to join the military. I didn't try to figure out that I didn't know I was going to be in the Army 22 years later, but I said yes to what God was giving me, and I said yes to that, and my life hadn't been the same. I didn't try to figure everything out. I didn't. I did not try to figure everything out. What I did do is I put the action, and guess what? It broke me out of my familiar. It facilitated me going to new places and seeing new things and being exposed and growing. And being exposed to the social experiment of what I call the military, which is so educational for me. Guess what? It still didn't change who I was. I'm still from the black belt. Gladly rep that I'm from born in Demopolis, lived in Fonsdale, lived in Uniontown, attended went to R.C. Hatch Elementary my kindergarten year, and then went to Greensboro East from my 1st grade to my 12th grade year. And I would stand to the end of my days and champion the fact that where I'm from prepared me to be who I am. So has nothing to do with it. I had to overcome the imprisonment of the familiar, in which I said, was I going to settle or was I going to do something about it? Leslie said, ooh, expectations. It is hard. I feel like I can't have that for anybody but myself and my husband. He's teaching me about this. Yes, because guess what? Guess what? When you expectations, you can only control yourself. You can't even control your spouse. That's another conversation. What's going on, Christine? How you doing? She said, when you surrender, you learn to trust God's process. And yes, but the thing about it is, this gonna blow some people's mind. I promise y'all this gonna blow y'all mind. Y'all don't believe me, but this gonna blow y'all mind, right? This is going to blow your mind. The biggest peace that I've ever had in my life is when I got to the point that I realized that I wasn't in control. That no matter what my choices are, I was in control. Watch this. I was in control of my choices, but I wasn't in control of everything around me. So what that did was that freed me up just to learn okay, God, if the steps of a good man is ordered by the Lord, and if I'm aligning myself to your teaching, if I'm aligning myself to say I'm a believer with you, then guess what? I'm just going to trust you. And watch this. What happens from that is when I try one thing, he come through. Try another, he come through. Try another, he come through. That's why the scripture said that they have patience, have his perfect work, that you may be completely lacking nothing. Another scripture, Romans 5, said that, patience goes to character, and character goes to hope, and hope don't disappoint. And it go through that process. And once you get there, it's a freedom you would never want to let go. It's a freedom you would never want to let go. So that thing is so good. And I appreciate that point. I appreciate that point, my sister. But I just wanted to just really get on here tonight and talk about that and just learn it, the importance of learning to free yourself from the apathy and the imprisonment of the familiar. You are the one, you hold the keys. I had to say this. You have to realize that you hold the keys to the lock to the cell of the imprisonment of the prison cell of familiar in your life. You hold the keys. Either you can take the key and keep unlocking it, or you can forfeit your right to have your own key and continue to give it to other people by giving excuses. You own that key. You own that key. You the one who allowed apathy to come in. And listen, I'm not saying that it's not easy. That's not what I'm saying. But you hold the key. You should not be in a place mentally, spiritually, emotionally, financially. You should not be in the same place 5 years from now, all because you're too scared to do something about it. It's other ways out there. And if you seek God, God will show you. He will show you different ways. He will connect you to different people that have the know-how. God will put on people's heart to be a blessing to you and to elevate you in areas that you need elevation. But you control that key. If you don't unlock it, you'll stay in there. You'll stay in there and you can't blame nobody else. You cannot blame nobody else but yourself. You can't do it. You cannot do it. And this is something that I talk about these things all the time, right? Because these are things that I really feel everybody deals with. And we all deal with them at different points in our lives, right? But how many people you see are really talking about these things? Just really talking about it. Talking about it. Don't allow don't allow the trauma of your childhood to impact you 20, 30 years later. Christina said, she said, right, free will allow you to make your own choices, but you can't dictate the consequences that comes from it. This is why it's vital to ensure we allow the Father to order our steps and our stops. Yes. She said, bless you, family. Continue to walk in your kingdom authority. God bless you too, sister. Hey, mama, how you doing? Hey, mama, Elaine Harris. That is my mother, my second mom. So, but yeah, you have that control. And I would tell you, once you realize that you are what you control, once you really come to an understanding of what you can control, I would tell you, you will be so much more empowered because you're not worrying about stuff that you ain't. If you sitting around worried about the weather, what is that going to do? Nothing at all. Nothing. You sit around worrying about if I sit around and worried about if something gonna happen every day I go out the door, I'm imprisoning myself, and I'm only doing it to myself. I'm leading myself to suffering from anxiety, being overwhelmed, dealing with depression, dealing with all these things because mentally I'm trying to control things that I'm not supposed to. The scripture even said, do you see the birds of the field worried about where their next meal gonna come from? If God can provide for them, why he can't provide for us? Now, with that being said, God do provide, but we have a responsibility to be good stewards of what he's given us. Now, just because we're not good stewards, we can't blame that on God not providing. We got to deal with the fact that we are mismanaging the resources that God gave us, and we got to address that. We can't just go back and blame that on somebody else. We got to deal with us. Hey, man, why you ain't managing that money that you got? Why you ain't doing this with the resources you have? Yeah, you sitting back and you looking for somebody to come and help you, but you got skills that you ain't even trying to utilize because you don't want to work. Okay, you don't want to work. You don't. The Bible said, man that don't work, don't eat. So those are things that you have control over. And I promise you, if you put the time and energy to say, you know what, I'm about to do this thing. I'm about to go out there and get it. I'm about to try, and I'm about to put forth genuine effort. You'll start to see God opening doors for you. You start to see God putting being a blessing to you. There's been so many times in my life that God has just spoke to me to be a blessing to somebody, really be a blessing to somebody. And I ain't advertised. Just, okay, God will put me on somebody's heart and somebody may contact me, or God may put, just say I buy some new furniture and I got some furniture I need to get rid of. And God will put on the heart, hey, be a blessing to such and such. God may tell me to be a blessing to other people. And when I am obedient with that, and it's not always about material money things, but sometimes it's just a phone call to encourage or something like that. When I do those things, what I get back in return is so much greater. It's so much greater. And what I realize is that we are on earth to really be a blessing and to serve others. And when we allow ourselves to stay in an imprisonment of our familiar, our focus comes on us and it's self-centered. And that's why it is hard to be blessed because our focus is self-centered, we're living a life of rebellion. And it's hard to be blessed when we're living and walking in rebellion. It's hard to be blessed. It's hard to be blessed. So, and all these things, like it's so many different things. Like there's so much information out there right now. If you don't know about something, it's somebody that know. Reach out. Be willing to pay for it. Man, I got some classmates that doing. I got some classmates. I got some associates. Got some friends. Got some coworkers. Where I mean, they doing it big. I mean, they doing big things in areas and spaces that I have no clue about. But guess what I'm about to do? I'm about to reach out to them. Not only I'm going to reach out to them, I'm going to reach out to them, get information, and then connect my kids with it. So they can have that information. And then they can do with it whatever they want to. But now me reaching out and getting information, I don't have the expectation because I know them for them to get it to me for free. Because guess what? They did the work to get what they did. So I'm going to compensate them for their hard work to gain that knowledge. And that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to take that knowledge and I'm going to come out of my comfort zone. And I'm going to bust through that comfort zone. So now I know. Now I know. And now I can take advantage of the work that I put in to learn. And I can build on it. I can build on it. So that's what I'm excited about. That's what I'm excited about. And I will tell you, man, when you're talking about elevation, God will place people in your life. He will place people around you that will, I'm telling you, like for those, man, y'all don't understand. When you're around people that are everybody champion Kobe Bryant's work ethic. Kobe Bryant's work ethic. And there's been so many stories that a lot of people share just about him. And if you hear some of the older players, like, you know, like there was one story that they told about Reggie Miller told, they told about when him and Reggie Miller was shooting a commercial. And after that, it was in the off season and Kobe went and they shot the commercial, and then Kobe wanted to play one-on-one. And then, like they said, Reggie was hitting like 2 in a row or whatever. And then after that, Kobe locked in. But after they got playing, Kobe was like, hey, can you teach me how you do this? Can you teach me how you do that? Kobe even brought in Hakeem Olajuwon to teach him some post moves. Like when you are in a pursuit and when you break out of the imprisonment of familiar, you embrace and you seek out things that are going to elevate you. You seek out people with the information that will elevate you. You seek them out and you're not afraid to ask questions. You can say whatever you want to say about me, but if I don't know something, I'm going to ask you a question so that I can know it. And I don't care if you feel I shouldn't know it. I don't care if I'm 42 years old and a 13-year-old knows something about financial management that I don't know. Guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to talk to that 13-year-old. I'm not going to sit here with pride acting like, well, I shouldn't. No, I'm going to ask so I can learn, so I can grow. Don't be stuck in the prison of your familiar all because you're too afraid to come out. Elevation, look, when you go to a higher elevation, you have to adjust. And you will adjust, but it may be uncomfortable temporary. It will be uncomfortable temporary. But when you get to the point to where you condition yourself for continual elevation, your expectation is for that. So you already embrace it and you take it on and you're able to do something about it. So that's what I just want to encourage everybody about tonight, really with this and understanding. So if you're dealing with that, if you got areas in your life where you say, you know what, I need to elevate or I need to change and I need to grow in this area. If you're struggling with forgiveness and somebody did something, find somebody that you know that actually did it and connect to them. Say, hey, how did you actually get through that? And that's when the scripture come into play and say, we overcome the enemy by the blood of the Lamb and the words of our testimony. The blood of the Lamb, Jesus died for our sins, right? But the words of our testimony are words that encourage us on our level, that if we hear something that somebody else has already done, that encourages us that if God did it for them, he can do it for me. So that empowers me to just go on a little bit further. So talk to somebody else. Get them to share some things with you. The scripture is all about that sharing information. It is all about that. What I mean by it is all about it. The scripture tells old women to teach their young women how to love their husbands and be good mothers. Old men teach their young men how to be providers and good husbands. See, it's talking about talking. It's talking about sharing that information. Because guess what? We need each other. We're social beings. If I was locked up in isolation, I would go crazy without any interaction. And studies have proven that. So why do we feel like we can just walk for years? Years you walking around wounded and not healed and mad at somebody else instead of you saying, you know what, enough is enough. Now the buck stopped with me. I'm going to do the work and move on. And watch this. A lot of people may have messed up their credit. Go ahead and go here. A lot of people may have messed up their credit because guess what? They didn't know. So they got caught up, messed their credit up. And instead of talking to people that actually know, and I'm talking about people that tell you, and they're taking people that actually know, you start getting to a place where you'll just boo and just settle and rob Peter, pay Paul, and miss out on so many different opportunities for years upon years, all because you didn't want to go and talk to somebody that can tell you how to fix it, how to change your mindset, how to use it as a tool, instead of you viewing it as it's just free money. And there's information out there. There's people out there that have how you can fix certain things, how you can clean up your credit, how you can leverage credit, how you can do all of these things, how you go about doing things. You just have to say, I'm going to take control over what I can control in this situation. If I'm $100,000, $200,000 in debt, I can't pay that in one day if I'm making a certain amount. But guess what I can do? I can focus on changing my mindset, changing my spending habits, creating a budget, and going forward how I'm going to go about doing this. Because guess what? Long term, that's where I want to be. And if we stick with it, what God will begin to do because of your obedience, I've seen God cancel certain things. I've seen God, you just all of a sudden, you're doing all these things and you committed and you're honoring God and you're being committed to correcting your choices, the consequences from your choices. I've seen God send people money and you just get money out of the mail that you weren't expecting. I've seen people where you can call them and say, well, you know what? I know you owe this, but just pay this and we'll count it done. I've seen God do those things. We committed to working towards dealing with it and addressing it. As long as we allow it to sit there and be afraid, God can't open up those doors. God can't move mountains if I'm standing still. He cannot move mountains for you stagnant because you're standing in one place. But if you're walking forward, if you're walking towards your destiny, he can open up doors. He can move mountains. He can give you insight. He can do a lot of things for you, but you have to choose to work because faith without work is dead. I can stay in my house all day and talk about, Lord, I just pray, I believe you to send me something to eat. I can pray all day. That don't mean that somebody gonna knock on my door and bring me something to eat. It may happen once, but I need to go out and do it. You know, now you probably you pray to God for that, and you going out there and you putting in applications, and next thing you know, you see a flyer that say food pantry. And it's Friday, the food pantry on Saturday. So now you go get food, and that food pantry may not be the food you like, but it's something that you eat. That's how God works. That's how he works. That's how he works. So I encourage everybody, man. I'm so grateful for the night. I mean, really, really good episode. And I will tell you this. This is what I want everybody that's watching right now. I'm going to randomly select people to send the book to. So what I would like for you to do is, right, I want you to comment on here. I want you to share this video on your Facebook page, right? And comment on here, I want it. I want it. Just say, share this to your Facebook page, but comment on here, I want it. And I will go through and I will randomly select some people that has done that. And when you've done it, I will, for those that have been selected, I will reach out to you and I will talk with you about getting your address and all those things so that I can bless you with these books from Iantha, my sister Iantha. Again, this is geared towards hold on, there we go. Stories that teach girls, a 30-day walk through girls' life lessons learned with God's word. That's Iantha's first book. That's geared towards young ladies. The second book will go is He Wasn't It Either, Iantha Houston. He Wasn't It Either. I'll tell you, go check it out. Go check it out. Go check it out. And the last one is for educators. Educators, your classroom or their playground. And the title, the subtitle is Classroom Management, Observations and Conversations for the New Teachers. And I would tell you, Iantha is dope. I'm about to put in here her website. If you guys want to go and go to her website, it's www.misshouston, USSIN teaches.com. Miss Houston, www.misshouston, MSUSSIN teaches.com. And I just posted it in the comments. So make sure y'all reach out, go check that out. I would tell you, this girl right here is dope. And also, if you are if you're looking for somebody, and I would tell you, she signed each book with a hand note in there and a book note. Yep, and a book note. So I'll tell you, very, very professional. And I'm telling you, you would not be disappointed with this. Again, man, I would just say, man, be a blessing to somebody. Look to be a blessing to somebody. It doesn't have to be the big things. It does not have to be the big thing. Look to do something small. And I say small, but be consistent. And hey, make sure you go and you go to YouTube, look up the Conversation 9-8 YouTube channel, and this will be uploaded shortly. But also will be you also find a number of the other episodes as well as a lot of the reels. So please go do that. Please like this video, subscribe. Let's get that YouTube channel popping, and just continue to share this, because that's my heart is for this can be a blessing to somebody and can help change somebody's life. You guys have a great and wonderful day, and thank you for your time.